Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. What are we doing here? Let's see. In the last video, I explained how to make a mission. So we made this NPC, and inside there we inserted a proximity prompt. Then we made this script, and what the script did is it transferred information from here to our interface. Which hopefully by now, if you're making your game, you should have an interface kind of somewhat. And then we have a map, and what I did was we edited the map so that way some of the this stuff here, the NPC stuff, would show on the map. And I realized that I was going over the video, and I realized that I had actually other icons for the quest finish and the quest pickup, and then I chose to use those ones. That's the way I am. I'm all over the place. It's hard for me to kind of stick to one. It's just the way I am. I'm all over. Okay, so in today's video, I just kind of want to go over this a little bit more, and I just want to go over how to actually finish the mission. And I want to do one more thing. So in your player added scripts, all right, I got the leaderboard disabled because it's not working. I'm going to start off by saying I appreciate all the views. I really do. I know that my videos are a little long and dry. I don't know how I can spice that up. I'll try. It's just not me. It's just not my style. I know. It's just the way I am, right? I put out these programming videos, but I realized that if they were shorter, I'd probably get more interest in them because, 1 hour video is a lot for, the average viewer age is under 18. So I know that could be a little hard to follow along with. So what I'm going to attempt to do this year is maybe go through my instructional videos and try and compress them, or just redo them and try and make them smaller and quicker. So that way they're a little bit easier to understand. So having said that, like I say, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all the views and all you guys, the subscribers, and that. You guys are really awesome. And I enjoy making these videos. And like I say, I hope you're learning. You're taking something from these videos, which is the whole idea here. Take something, make yourself a fantastic game. And that's what we're doing. So, getting all that out of the way, most games have like a storyline, a playthrough, right? You'll have that free form kind of do whatever you want aspect of the game, right? Where you get open-ended missions and all that sort of stuff. And then we sort of have a storyline. So this here can kind of tie into a storyline too, if that's what you want. You just have to remember that in the script, when you're giving that information out, you want to include any of that information into the script. So then what we want to do is we want to go to player added, and we're going to make another section. So we've got all these numbers, right? So we're going to make another section, and this is going to be called quests, right? It doesn't have to be, it could just be one, honestly. But here we're going to add values for quests, right? Now you can do this however you want. And this way, if you want the player to be able to take on multiple quests at a time, this is the way to do that. If you want a player to have to interact with two or more, what am I trying to say? If you want the player to have goals within the quest. So for example, go and see this person, then go and see that person, go and pick up this item, go and deliver the item, and then return to me for a reward. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 tasks that you would have to complete. So what we want to do is we want to say local, and then we want to say quest equals, and we'll say instance.new, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to create a int value. All right, and then we are going to say quests dot name equals quests, and we're going to say quests dot parent equals quests. So that's going to be a new folder. I like that. You can name it whatever you want. You can change this to whatever you want. You can give it values too. Like I know when I made my leader stats, I didn't have a value to any of these, but you could give them like a core value if you want on the int value. And then that way, when the player loads into the game, you don't get warnings saying, hey, this value is 0. I can't do anything with it. But so that's basically that. So if I press play, Move my microphone here just slightly over. If we press play and we go to the game, we should have a file on the player called quests. And in there, we should just have a simple value called quests. Oh, attempt to set quest as his own parent. Oh, I guess I can't do that. Maybe I should change the name of the folder there. Instance.new, let's say, parents, yeah, I mean, we can even put it in leader stats, to be honest. I'm just kind of thinking here, like we already have a folder. Let's do that. We'll put it inside leader stats. And then that way, now what I could do when I make my leaderboard work, which I'll have to go back through and figure it out, this is where you can start thinking about that. You can track either by money, by experience, by the amount of quests the player has completed. So that's another integer value that we can add. It's called completed quests. And every time you complete a quest, it adds +1 to the value. Yeah, so if we go in the player and then we go into our leader stats, there we go, quests. That is our value. And right now it is sitting at 0. Okay, perfect. So it could be named whatever. It could be named progress tracker, whatever. All I'm just trying to explain here is that when you're developing your quest system, rather than just having a single A to B, you can do A, B, C, D, and E if you go this route. And then this is how we're going to track it. Okay. So what we want to do is we're going to duplicate this NPC. Okay. And let's just say here we're gonna do two things. Let's duplicate the NPC and let's also get a part in here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it so that way we have to interact with with two. So we have to interact with him, and then we can finish the quest. So we need to get at least yeah. We can even make it 3 parts. Honestly, we can even make. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, so when we interact with the first NPC, what we can also do is we can say player dot leader stats. Whoops. Player dot leader stats dot quest equals value equals, and then we need to say player, we need to say +1. We can't just say equals 1 or 2, because that way when you activate the prompt, it's just going to change this value to 2 to 3 to whatever you set it. So you need to say this is the value, then take the value and add 1 to it. All right. So then in our second NPC, what he's going to do is, instead of changing any of this stuff, let's see. That is one part. Sorry, I'm kind of bouncing around here. I just realized we need to do one more thing as well. We need to go into our... we'll go do that after. Sorry, it's late at night. I'm just trying to think. We'll do that after. Okay, so then we interact with here. This is the NPC that we need to interact with. So what we need is, all we need is this part here. All right. Now, if we wanted to, okay, we could also give the player experience just for interacting with this. Right. This is part 1. This is getting the quest. This is part 1. Let's say this is part 2, and then this over here is going to be finishing the quest, right? So that's basically how. Oh, we don't want to do that. That's basically how that's gonna go down. All right. So this, every time we interact here, we could be giving the player rewards, cash, experience, items, whatever, and all that is handled in the script. Right, so we could say player, you know what I mean? We could say, what do I have here? What do I have to give the player? So let's say if I go into server storage and I check out Zoom, I got all this stuff in here. Maybe I'll give the player a box. We say player we could say we need a variable for this. We need local storage equals game. Oops, local storage equals game get service. Nope, get children. Want to say get service, and then we want to say server storage. Okay. Now this get service, I wanted to explain this. I think I did in the last video. I went to the Roblox website and I looked up why get service, and basically the way they said it is that if they ever in the future decide to rename players to something else, so long as you use get service players, it will always find that service even though it has a different name. That's the way they explained it to me. So hopefully that's kind of what I'm saying. So then we can say storage, right? storag dot. We need to say storage dot zoom, which is the folder, and we can say dot box and clone it, and we can say dot parent equals player. There we go, player backpack. We could say just something like that, right? And then if we wanted to give experience, which normally I would give experience, but then what we have to do, remember, if we're going to be giving rewards, we need to make sure we save those rewards. So that means we have to add the p call to make sure it saves. So here I have the p call for experience, and I have the p call for cash right here. So what I would do is I would take these two, okay? We can add it to the script. And then what we want to do is we can say cash and experience. Just give me let's give me 5 experience, and I'll take 100 cash. 100 cash. Yeah, just something simple, right? So then we also need to connect this to the data store. So we need to make sure we connect the script to the data store. No. Control V. There we go. So now we've created a script that is going to give us +1 value to our quests. It's going to give us an object from the server storage into our backpack, and then it's going to give us some rewards. We're going to get some experience, and we're going to get some cash, and then it's going to save the fact that it gave us experience, and it's going to save the fact that it gave us some cash. So that's pretty much all we want to do. Then basically we can take this script here, and we can copy it. Let's see. Let's show in Explorer. Yes, we can. I'm going to rename this mission part 2, and then that way if there's an error somewhere in the code, I'll know which script it is. And then we can just copy that, and we'll paste it into here. So that'll be step 2. And then we can also paste it into here, which is kind of step 3. But this is the finish one. So this is where we want to give the player the full rewards for the mission. And then we also want to set all these values back to neutral. So we got to go in here, and what we need to do is we need to take that. Yeah, but we don't want to give the player a box because we already did that. And in this one here, we don't want to give the player a box because we already did that. So we should have +1, +2, and in this case, we don't need any more. So we can also get rid of that. But what I want to do is I want to say if player dot leader stats dot quest dot value is equal to 2, then is that right? Yeah, is equal to 2, then where was I? Okay, so we're not working on that one. It's going to do that, or we're going to say else Um, we could say oh, there also there you know there also needs to be a proximity prompt here because there isn't one. So we can insert object prompt, which is what we need. Okay, and then let's see, copy this and we will paste into. And we also need a proximity prompt in here, which he's got already. Excellent. Okay, so now what we can do is we can change the action text. See how it says interact? So if they don't have the points, we can say script dot parent. Okay, dot proximity prompt dot action text. All right, and then it equals we'll say need or you missed a step. Let's see. You skipped a step. Oops, STEP. So it's going to say something like that. All right, so let's try that. So first thing I'll do is I'll go over to the finish part. No, we'll take the mission and then we'll just try and finish it. We'll do that first. So it shouldn't give us any points. It shouldn't give us any experience. It shouldn't do anything because we don't have the proper quest values. Oh, and there we go. We got a trigger ended. Workspace stop part. Oh, because this script is inside, supposed to be inside the proximity prompt. That's why. That's probably in this one too, right? Yes, he's got to be inside the proximity prompt. That solves that error. As I said, button equals script.parent instead of script.parent proximity prompt. All right, so if I come over here, just wait for this to kind of load for a minute. There's a lot to load in. If I come over here and I talk to him, he says, help me move some things. And then, let's see. So we'll do that, and then it says, hey, come to this location, pick up some stuff. Cool. Let me click on quest. There should be a closed button on there. And then we come over here where it says interact. What's his name? Oh, okay. Line 50. Proximity prompt is not a valid member of proximity prompt. Something's wrong here. What did I do? Button, script up parent. Button, what's it, line 50? Oh, script up parent. I see. My bad. Dot action text. All right. We got to go through that one more time. This is why you're right. I should be editing this out of the videos, right? So it's just clear and consistent all the way through. I know. As if I got time for all that. Okay, so we get our information. Gives us our information. Perfect. Holy, it's like Windows 3.1 there with that, yeah. Then we interact there. It says you skipped a step. Now it shouldn't have given me anything. Shouldn't have given me anything, and I don't think it did. I don't think it did anything. It didn't fire at all. Then if I check leader stats here, and we check quests, it gave me +1 for there. So I don't know why. Did it give me +1 because I get +1 from here? Probably what it is. So then what we need to do is it's going to have to be 3 then. We can do that step. See, now we're at number 2, and I got my box. All right, perfect, which costs $50. And then I can come over here. There we go. And then it gives me my reward. It still says you skipped a step, but it shouldn't if it goes through. Then you just say change the action text, right? The little things like that that just help the player um, know what's going on. Hey, I activated the prompt, but nothing happened. Why is that? Well, if you change the action text, then the player can see what they did. Oh, I skipped a step. All right, so I guess that's pretty much. Oh yeah, we have +1 here. That's pretty much going to do it for the quest. This will have to be 3, and you can even say greater than less than 3, greater than 3, whatever. If you're concerned that maybe they're not going to get the exact value, right? Then you could say greater than 3. You could say greater than 2, for example, and that just makes sure that even if the player does skip, if they skip a step, then they can still complete the mission. But it just makes sure that way, you're doing your diligence in tracking, and you're making sure that no matter what, the player is able to finish the mission. If they mess up or whatever, and then what we want to do with these prompts then is we also want to make it. We could use that same if value, and we could say this here. We could say copy this. And we could actually say if it equals 0, and then we could say else, right? Script parent action text equals already taken task. Maybe it's hard to think of one this late at night, right? Already taken task. So we could say that, okay? And then this is how we're able to kind of lock in the buttons. And let's say we're supposed to see this person first, right? So we go and see him, and then this way, we can say, yeah, and then this way it just kind of, we could say greater than 1. Else script parent action text equals right, speak to, and then we can have NPC name, whatever, right? And that's basically, so they find this person, and he's the person we need. This is the person who starts the mission. So they find this person who's in the middle of the mission and says, hey, you need to find this person first, then you can come and talk to me. Then this one here, we could just do the same thing. Let's lock it down. And this is going to be greater than 2. Yeah, we could say else. Let's see, script parent action text equals, and we can say you skipped a step, right? Just like the last one on this one here. And that should be that. Now this one here, we want to say if greater, then we can say greater than 3. Oh boy. Not 23. If greater than 3, then. All right, and then what we also have to do is clear this. So this has to be blank. This has to be blank. Obviously, I would give the reward rate 5,000 cash and the 250 XP, but because this is a test, I don't want to mess around with that too much. And then what we'll do is we'll make this and this, and then we can make these false. The NPC and the whole mission part of it, we can make this false, which I really like. This is cool. And because we're able to search the player, we're able to do this locally to the individual player. Then we can say mission.visible. Yeah, we can leave that as true, whatever. Then it just brings it up, right? Maybe it says something like mission complete in here in the text, right? Mission complete. Now, the other thing we can do, let's test this. And the other thing we can also do is on our window, which has the mission, we can add a quest tracker number on there. So when we interact with the NPC, it says 1. When we go to the next one, it says 2, and so on and so forth. And then that way we can tell the player how many objects they need to interact with in order to finish the mission. Like we can say 0, 4, right? So we pick this up, that do some stuff, do some stuff. All right, so then I talk to him. It says speak to NPC name, but I wonder if maybe he's greater than 2, 3. Let me check on this. I messed up somewhere. It should be greater than 1, right? Talk to him, we get 1 point. This person here, yeah, greater than 1. So what does that mean? It needs to be a 2? We can say greater than or equal to. Yeah, maybe that's a better way of doing it. Greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Yeah, that's probably the way to do it. There we go. This is what I like about doing these videos, is it gives me a chance. Right now, I'm practicing writing code, and it's giving me a chance to think and say, okay, do I have the right expression? Am I doing this properly? You know, these are all these things that we need, as a developer, you need to do because you're trying to sell, in a sense, an experience to the players, right? Hey, play this game. So you want to make sure that you've, to the best of your ability, you've gone through it as much as you can, and you've caught as many of the errors. Because when the player is playing and they're going to run into the errors, if they run into too many errors, they're just going to leave and go to a game that they already know they can play through that works, right? All right, so we go to there. That should bring us to equals or greater than 1. Yeah, then we got our box. Okay, so this should be at 2 then, right? And then we click on this, and now we're at 3. And if I try and do it again, oh, because I said greater than or equals to, that's right. And then now we got our reward, and it's saved. So there you go, greater than, equal to, or equals to. You just have to make sure that you're tracking the the values. Oh, and I honestly, something happened there. Something happened there. We got to do that one more time because it was supposed to bring up the quest. This is supposed to be visible true, but it didn't actually happen. So I wonder if it is the greater than or equal to. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe we do have to change the numbers. Right? Because we talk to him, it brings up our quest. We talk to him. Let's see, we've got 50 XP. Exactly. Talk to him. And then, so we've got 65 experience. So I got 15 experience. Oh, yeah, because each one gives me experience and it saves. Oh, look at that. Mission complete. Cool. But it didn't make this window visible. And I'm not too sure why it didn't, but that's what we needed to check on. So you saw there, it says mission complete. And there we go. So then if I took the mission again, it says already taken task. And now that is because I didn't clear this value. So we need to make sure to return that value to 0. So let's go through this whole process one more time and let's tweak these numbers. So he gives us the number 1. So now this we need to say equals 1. And now he's going to give us 1, so it's going to be 2. So now we want to say equals 2. And then here we're going to say plus 1 He gives us 1. That's 2. So this would be 3. Yeah, I guess, right? I'm confusing myself. It doesn't take much. Yeah, and this should be equals 3, then else, whatever. Okay, so then after we do all of that, at the very end, we should tell it to wait. We could just wait a split second, honestly. And then we can say, we can make this value equals to 0. We can directly make this value equals to 0 now. Just like that. No, I don't. Why do I need the 4 and then the equals? I don't know. Sometimes I don't understand their AI, like trying to give you code suggestions. Some of the code suggestions are just, it'll take what I've already written and then it'll suggest to rewrite what I've already written. It's so funny. They got to work on that. Their AI there. All right, so we should hit this here. There we go. And that brings us to 1. Yeah. That brings us to 2, gives us the box. That brings us to 3. And then if we try and interact with it again, we're locked. It's not doing anything perfect. Then when we stock there, that goes back to 0 and it gives us our final reward. Nice. Yeah, and then that's completed. Mission's back to 0. So then we can take this again if we wanted to, which it did, but it's just not bringing up the UI window. I don't know why. And anyways, then we can do this. So the last thing I wanted to do is I wanted to add on here is a tracker for that value so we know where we're at in the quest. So we'll take this. We will, let's see, we got that enabled. Let's open up our quest, our mission frame. Make that visible. Get rid of that. So, like I said, I know it's not the best. Whatever. So we could even say the title down here where the reward is. Yeah, that's good as well. What can we do here? Let's see. Maybe we can make this scrolling frame a little bit smaller, and then we can take the title and we can duplicate it. We can drag it down here, and then we can call this. This could be progress, right? Progress. Progress. Now we can say in the code here. Where are you here? All right. We can say UI. Where is it here? Right in here. We can say UI dot mission. No, not dot mission. We could say dot progress. All right. Dot mission. Dot progress. Right. And we can say equals player. Oh yeah, here we go. So I don't know. Let's see. Player.leaderstats.quest. Now I think we have to add this line of code into every single prompt here. And every single prompt. Let's make this visible false. What's going on there? All right, and then we just need the UI here with us. All right, so then let's go through this code. Right, we just have to add it. We have to add it to each one. And then let's go back to here because this is where the script is. Grab that. I think it should update. It should update. Let's see if it wants to update now. Get the music going again. Oh boy. I don't know how long it has stopped for. I can't hear it in my headphones for some reason right now. It's OSB when I start up Streamlabs. It mutes all the sounds. It mutes the sounds in my headphones, but the sounds are still playing. So it just it might cause some issues. Whatever. Okay, so now when we get the mission, this stayed as title. Interesting. So that didn't actually work. That didn't actually work. Why not? Why not? Why not? Oh, here we go. Got an error. Got an error. Progress. Oh, really? Again, the issue with having a wireless keyboard. Whenever the computer does something. Yeah, I hear ya. All right, that should work. What do you want? You got food. You got water. All right, I'm recording a video, please. Come on now. Oh boy, let me tell you the struggles. Let me tell you. Ridiculousness. All right, so let's try this one more time, and then this is going to do it for number 2. What do you want? Ah! What? Is it food? Is it wet food that you want? Huh? I gotta get up for you. All right, so we have this one here, progress. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't say progress.text. I bet you that's exactly why. I only said progress. I didn't say progress.text. And I got everybody's, sit down just to do a little video, and all of a sudden everybody's coming to me at one time. I need this, I need that. Okay. What did we say here? Yeah, it's UI.mission.progress. This should be .text in here because we need to change. We're changing the text on the screen here. We're not. Let's see, progress.text. No, not touch tap. .text. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Don't you even think about it. He's just sitting here sitting on my desk. He's just looking at me. My cat is looking at me. You gotta give me your food. Give me your food. Oh, oh. Are you looking at me? Huh? This guy has got this frown like, hey, you've been on there for too long. Yeah? How long is too long? 40 minutes. All right, maybe that's too long. I don't know. Okay, so now if we open it up here, we check out this tracker. Yeah, it's at 0, but it should be at 1. All right. Did it work? Did this one work? Okay, now that one's at 2. So it didn't update for 1, but it updated at 2. And now we're at 3. Okay, and then here it should be back to 0, which it isn't. So what do we need to do is... Oh, probably because I didn't tell the text to update. Maybe that's why. Let's see. Yeah, it's at 0. Yeah, okay, perfect. I think I did, but it didn't for some reason. So there you go. So so there's 2 ways to do the updating of that. We can add the code which reads the integer, and every time it changes, it updates the text, like we did when we made our manufacturing, like the factory. Or you can do it this way, where when you press the button, it should quote unquote update the text. Yeah, I don't think I had it. I don't think I did have it in here. Yeah, equals. But you see, I tell it to update the text, and then we change the value. First, we need to change the value, and then we need to update the text, because that's how the code is, right? The code, it reads it like this. It's reading it like this. So I'm telling it here to update that and then update the value. So, which I'm actually kind of surprised. Maybe it's yeah. See here, I'm telling it to update the value, and then I'm telling it to change the integer. So we don't want it to do that. First, we want to change the integer, and then we want to tell it to update the value. And now this time, when I'm just going to save it real quickly. This time, when I interact with the first NPC, it should give us a 1, and then a 2, and then a 3, and then it should clear it. So once again, I do appreciate the comments and the views and everything else on the channel. That's a small channel. I know that. I know I sometimes I pump out a lot of videos. Sometimes I don't pump out a lot of videos. And they're mixed quality. I totally get that, and that's cool. But I do appreciate it. And you know, spreading the knowledge. What I find is that when you go on Roblox and you look at all those games, as I've said many times in the past, there are a lot of really, really creative people out there. And I just find that a lot of these games are limiting it. They're limiting, I think, because there's a lack of this type of stuff out there. You look at these, like for example, the leader stats. Okay, I went on YouTube and I looked at leader stats, and the 2 scripts that I got and the UI, and then I try and use it and it doesn't work. So this is the kind of frustration that people are running into, and I totally get that. Where you do a 1 hour or 30 minutes tutorial and it does nothing, and you just feel like you wasted your time, right? So what I'm hoping out of all this again is that people are watching these videos, they're picking up on how to build code, how to do the 3D modeling, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to build a thrilling experience which is going to help enhance the games that we can play. There we go. We got the number 1. All right. Now this should update, and it's a number 2. And then we come over here, and it's a number 3. All right. And we come over here, and now it's at 0, and it says mission complete. And that's basically that. The last thing that we could do is, when it comes to editing to that value, that progress tracker, we want the player to know how many of these they have to track. So we can say the text is, and then we can say leader stats value, and then we would say ... like this, and some quotes. Okay, what that will do is that's going to put text on the other side of this integer in the text box. So we then want to press the space button, because that is going to bring a space here. Okay, and then we want to say of 0. We could just do that, for example. And then we can press play. Now every script has to have that, the ... 0. And like I say, this is one way of doing it. We could put a script on the server, which also listens for when the player activates the prompt. It fires, we could have a remote event called missions. Like there's all kinds of ways that we can do this. So now let's see. So now when we activate it, there we go. You see that? It's the not a one. But now the player understands. Okay, well look, that's one of zeros. So all right, so now we can say of 4, just like that. And you notice that there was that a space in there. So let's see, mission.text, right? Dot quote space, and then your text. And that way it's going to leave a gap between the integer and the text. That's the best way to handle that. And in theory, it would actually be 3, and then you need to complete the mission. Because this one here, what we should end up doing on this one, the final part, is we should still give. Oh, this one's only got 1. We should still give this value. I feel like we should on the last one. It doesn't really matter. Probably not. And then we can do this. We can copy that. Yeah, and then it's like a split second. They can see that they've... here, we'll wait a second. And then that way you can see it. And this way the player is able to... I'll save it here. They know now. How many steps do I need to take to complete this mission? When they take the mission, it tells them, hey, this is the first step of 4. It tells them where to go. So that's what we're doing here. We're building a quest. We're building information for the player. That's what a quest is. Hey, I want you to do this task. So we need to give that information to the player so they know what to do. And so that's what I was saying. When you're creating these values, these quest values, you can have some that save. And that way, maybe there are some quests that take longer than others. And if you don't want the player to lose their progress, this is where you want to be tracking that, right? So now we can say this here, and you see the space there? I should have put a space between there and the 4. But that way the player knows, okay, I have to interact with 4 things. That's step 2 of 4. That's step 3 of 4. Oh, and then you saw the 4 there, and then it. I was trying to open the window, but I pressed E already. So that's gonna do it for part 2 of how to create a mission. Like I say, there are many ways to do it. This is one of those ways. So let's quickly recap what we did. We created a button on the screen, which opens up a window, which gives us information that we can then pass on to the player. It tells them what to do, where to go, and it tells them how many steps they need to take in order to complete the mission. So we could change this from title. It doesn't matter because it's just so we know. Progress, just like that. And then we also tell them the reward, which is very important. So that way players know how much effort is it worth the effort or not, right? Now, I don't know. That has to translate to something. So then once we've created this mission screen, then what we needed to do is we needed to build some code. So we took an NPC, we added a button so the player can interact with the NPC, and then we wrote some code. And what did the code do? The code gives information about the mission, and it also updates the map about where we need to go, any pickup locations, any people we need to speak to, all that sort of stuff. Now, what you could do on the map is you could make it so that way everything else goes false and they can only see the mission objectives on the map. Eventually, that's what I would like to do. And that way, there's no confusion for the player. They know exactly where they need to go and they know exactly what they need to do. And that's easy. Then, after that, we just choose how many steps we want the player to take to complete the mission. And then each step we decide. Do we give the player a reward? Do we give the player an item? And we also want to make sure that we're telling the player this step is complete and you can now go on to the next step. That's really important. And that way players don't get lost. If the quest is complicated or they end up having to travel a long distance, you can forget, did I do that? Did I miss a step? And this way with the mission tracker, it gives you, you're able to, okay, I didn't take that step. I'm ready for the next step. So it's essential for the player. And then what we did is we created our finish mission script, which also gives a reward. It also gives experience, but it also resets everything, which is very, very important. We want to reset it so we can then go take another mission somewhere else. And then the last thing we did is we locked in the functions to this value. And that way, the player has to complete each step in order to fully obtain the rewards for the mission. All right. Now, if the player leaves the game, this will obviously reset. The other thing, what we may want to add on here is like a cancel quest button. And all the cancel quest button will do, it'll do the exact same thing as the mission complete button, except it won't give them any rewards. It just changes all this back to zero, right? Back to the default. And that's it. And that way you can go and take on another mission and go somewhere else. So if you get halfway through a mission and you decide you don't want it and you want to do something else, you can do that. Like I say, all we need to do is just add we can even add that in there. If you really wanted to, visible anywhere on the screen, we could insert a button, right? Insert object, text button. You know what I mean? I don't know where I would put it here. It seems everything seems pretty organized. But this could be just cancel quest, right? Or stop quest even, right? Something like that. Button stop quest. No, we just want stop quest. Right, and then in there, what we would want to do is we would want to say, okay, when we press this button, what happens? And that's where we go to our finish script, reset this to neutral, but don't give the player the reward. So yeah, so just simple stuff like that. It's great. It's easy to understand, and it works. So thank you so much for watching part 2, and I will see you all in the next one, which will probably be, well, I think we can finally do part 2 of or part 3 of the player trading stuff. We'll go back through that and check it out, figure it out, and make sure it all works. Thanks so much for watching, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you all then.